Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Cowboys starting QB could ditch Dallas for more money from elite NFC rival. Dallas held out for as long as it could, but eventually the team caved just hours before taking the field in Week 1 and extended quarterback Dak Prescott on a 4-year deal worth $240 million total, $60 million annually, that runs through the 2028 campaign. But then, in the second half of the Cowboys' Week 9 contest against the Atlanta Falcons, Prescott went down with a torn hamstring that ultimately required surgery and cost him the remainder of the season. Backup Cooper Rush stepped into the starting role and has led Dallas to a 3-3 record in the 6 games since, completing nearly 60% of his passes for 1,405 yards, 10 touchdowns, and just 3 interceptions, per Pro Football Reference. Rush is 8-4 as a starter across his 7-year NFL career and will hit unrestricted free agency in March after his 2-year, $5 million contract with the Cowboys runs out this spring. It is clear that Dallas needs a solid option behind Prescott, who should return in plenty of time for the 2025 season. But quarterback Trey Lance, also bound for free agency in March sans an extension, has struggled every time he's gotten run with the Cowboys, be it during the preseason or the regular season. Dallas Cowboys coach addresses Cooper Rush's concerning fumbleitis. Cooper Rush was thrust into the starting spotlight for the Dallas Cowboys after a season-ending hamstring injury to Dak Prescott. Rush has gone 3-3 as a starter and has done a good job taking care of the ball through the air with 9 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions. However, there is one troubling stat. Rush has 9 fumbles since taking over as the starter, which is the 3rd most in the NFL. Despite the alarming number of fumbles, Cowboys offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer says Rush is not solely to blame and says coaching is part of the problem. Dallas Cowboys quarterback Cooper Rush fumbles against the Carolina Panthers. Bob Donnan main images. There's a technique that you use in terms of where the ball is extended and how you have to ride it, Schottenheimer told reporters, per DallasCowboys.com. It's very technical, but Cooper was great. He communicated right after the drive and said, "It caught Rico's hip. It's on me. We emphasize it, but obviously we're not doing a great enough job coaching it. We've got to coach it better." Rush also took some blame after another fumble against the Carolina Panthers, but it is clear he has to get the fumbling under control. Whether it is Rush not being ready for a starting role, the coaching, or simply a lack of timing and chemistry with the backup signal caller and team starters, it is an issue that everyone knows needs to be addressed. The Dallas Cowboys were struggling throughout the middle of the season and Cowboys Nation began calling for the team to tank a lost season for a top draft pick. Instead, players found their fighting spirit and rallied behind head coach Mike McCarthy. Now, with the team 3-1 over the past 4 games, there is growing belief that Mike McCarthy could return as coach. And if he does, he has the players' support. Cooper Rush, who has been starting in place of an injured Dak Prescott, spoke highly of McCarthy following the team's big win over the Carolina Panthers. Rush raved about McCarthy's leadership and the locker room culture he has built in Dallas. "It's just who we are, a bunch of guys that love to compete, a lot of winners on this team, a lot of wins over the last few years with Coach McCarthy and these core players," Rush said after the game. "There's a culture there, you're going to go out there and play your butt off and compete no matter what. It's just more who he is, it's just been the attitude the last couple of years. He does a great job having a pulse of the team, keeping guys together, keeping us together in the locker room and creating that culture that no matter who we're playing, what we're doing. If you're out there, you're competing your butt off. He has us well prepared." The Cowboys still have a slim chance to reach the NFL playoffs, but the team will have to win out and get a lot of help. But with the way they have rallied behind their head coach since the end of November, anything is possible. The question is, will it be worth giving up a top draft pick in the long run? Cowboys urged to add $27 million Pro Bowler to replace Rico Dowdle. Just when you thought there was one area of the Cowboys roster that was, more or less, solved, here we go with the reminders that is not the case. Entering the season, the Cowboys' hole at running back was glaringly obvious, with Tony Pollard departing in free agency and the team failing to address the issue in the NFL draft. They also failed to address it in free agency, where Derrick Henry was said to be all but set to sign if the Cowboys made him a credible offer. No credible offer came, of course, and the Cowboys instead merely re-signed Rico Dowdle and brought back aged veteran Ezekiel Elliott. You know how it played out. Elliott was, and is, washed up. Dowdle, though, has shown he can be a useful back, now at 880 yards over 13 games, with a considerable chance to break the 1,000-yard mark despite being underused early in the year. In Dowdle's last 4 games, he has 478 yards on 84 attempts, and for Dallas, when Dowdle rushes at least 19 times, the team is 4-0. Still, the Cowboys' miserly approach in the spring of 2024 will be costly in 2025, as they gave Dowdle only a 1-year contract. He will be a free agent next spring, and will command much more than the $1.25 million he got this season. Whether the team brings back Dowdle or not, it is clear that the NFL has shifted in recent years to put more of an emphasis on the running game, which means the Cowboys will need to spend a bit more on the position than they have in the past. At Bleacher Report, the team is being advised to go after one of the top free agents on the running back market, Steelers star Najee Harris. The site writes, Dallas entered this weekend averaging just 91.2 rushing yards per game, which is the 5th fewest in the NFL. Lead backs Rico Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott are both impending free agents in the offseason, so the front office will undoubtedly be in the running back market this spring. Harris is an intriguing option since he had over 1,000 rushing yards and 22 rushing touchdowns during the first 3 years of his career. In 2024, he's averaging the second highest yards per game, 67.5, of his career and needs just 123 yards to break the quadruple-digit mark again. Plus, the former first-round pick will only be 27 in March. Harris won't come cheap. While the Cowboys might be inclined to simply keep Dowdle and add a low-cost backup in free agency or the draft, there's the possibility that Dowdle will land a bigger offer elsewhere and necessitate the move for a player like Harris. At Spotrac, the market value for Harris is set at $9.3 million, with a 3-year, $27 million contract projected in free agency. That might be undervalued, too, especially after teams like the Ravens with Henry, the Packers with Josh Jacobs, and the Eagles with Saquon Barkley were all rewarded handsomely for investing in running backs in free agency last year. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Najee Harris? Leave your opinion in the comments.